Ladies and gentlemen, James Hicks here. Infotainment News, ITN Live. Thank you for joining me for another episode. This is going to be a good one. They're all good, but they get better. And my guest tonight is someone. If you're in the sports, if you're specifically basketball, if you're from around Sacramento, you should know this guy, right? Uh, Bill Herenda. Bill Herenda is a NBA contributor, college basketball analyst, reporter, and speaker. He served as the Sacramento Kings insider on NBC Sports Bay Area and the morning sports update anchor on Kfbk. Since I last saw Bill, he has moved to Los Angeles and he now adds actor to his growing bio and has appeared in some TV shows, including SWAT on CBS. He's been in a couple of movies, done some videos, and some commercials. We're going to definitely talk about some of his acting chops for sure. Uh, from the basketball and especially the college basketball scene, Bill serves as analyst on national TV and radio broadcasts covering games for nearly all of the big conferences, right? So Pac 12, Pac 10, Big 12, all of those. Born in Jersey City, he's an East Coast man as myself. He knows his way up and down the basketball court. He played for UMass. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Herenda. Bill, how you doing,
James,
sir?
absolutely terrific, James. It's so good to be with you, and so happy to reconvene, and hope everyone is doing well given the current turbulent circumstances that we're living in.
That can go all kind of ways there, brother. That's just a can of worms that you open. But we'll focus maybe on the COVID right now. And what I'll do, first of all, the intro there. You got a lot of stuff going on in your life, man. You've got a long resume.
Yes.
We initially met when you were slinging IT equipment. Right, we were both slinging computer equipment and cloud computing services at a data center facility here in Northern California, and now I think you're doing what you're meant to be doing. Right, you're in sports, especially basketball, because your brother's a coach. You played, right? I mean, you are basketball. So, what why the shift? Let me I guess start with that and ask. You started doing one thing. Maybe you hadn't found your passion or what first, but what took you so much time, I guess, to finally get to where you are now? I mean, was it finding the right resource, finding the right team to work with, or what? Talk to us about how you got to where you are right now.
Right. No, that's a great question, James, and I think that everyone's path is quite unique. And I think a lot of people, I'm just trying to really listen to the universe and to be doing what you're meant to be doing. And it's really evolved. I mean, the funny thing is that I was very happy in the corporate world in various sales and marketing capacities. And then I had really been away from basketball for a while, had young kids, and all of a sudden I was over at UC Davis doing radio analysis on their games, and Scott Marsh, who's still the play-by-play guy there, was kind enough to give me an opportunity along with Larry Swanson and my brother-in-law, Ken O'Brien, who played football at UC Davis and then later with the New York Jets. It made the introduction there. And just one thing led to another. And it's just kind of funny because I spent some time last week at a sports broadcasting camp virtually for kids. And one of the main themes is never say no to an opportunity. And ironically, the radio analysis led to TV analysis with college basketball. Then I was asked to do football sideline reporting for UC Davis's radio broadcast. That led to Kfbk and doing the radio updates there. So the reason why I bring that up is because if I hadn't had the experience working the sidelines, UC Davis, quick in and out, I would not have been able to really do a good job at Kfbk. Anyway, so it has evolved. It took me a while. I was a late starter with broadcasting, and with the acting, I feel like this journey is still continuing, and I'm just trying to hang on and ride the waves and enjoy it. So it's been quite circuitous, no doubt, but it's been fun. It's been fun, and I'm really anxious to see what's next, to be honest.
I love it. I love it. And ladies and gentlemen, you will notice that Mr. Herenda has a incredibly vast vocabulary. I can't even begin to spell. I can say it circuitous, but that's impressive. That's good stuff there, man. I give you that one right there. UC Davis. I remember, and I don't know if you remember this. You gave me tickets to a UC Davis football game. I took my kids to that particular game, so thank you many years later. Thank you again for those tickets. But that was the one game, I think you were there on the sidelines when the power went out.
Yes.
It was like the final play of the fourth quarter. We didn't think anything was going to happen. We start walking out. As we're walking out off the field, the lights go out. And all of UC Davis is pitch dark. We don't know what's going on. Do you remember that game?
I do, James. And you know what's funny? It's a good thing that's a turf field, because the sprinklers probably would have gone off if it had been natural turf, right? But I do remember that, and I think it was I don't know if it was Northern Colorado, and I think Davis lost that game.
They did lose that game, yes.
They did lose that game because there was a game. It was either the year prior or the year after where they won on a Hail Mary pass last second. And I think it may have been Northern Colorado, the Bears, that were at Aggie Stadium on Soker Field. And it's just kind of weird how you have different matchups and there are some strange things that occur. But yeah. Great memories, great great time. What an excellent venue to I'm sure you guys enjoyed it, because it's just such a nice venue to watch sports out there, for sure.
Oh, look, I went to Sac State and graduated as a Hornet, but I've had a number of friends who went to Davis, and I love Davis. If you ask my wife, I still want to move to Davis for whatever reason. I don't have anyone living there right now, but I just definitely love that whole town and that whole vibe there. So that was definitely a good time for sure. Let's talk NBA. Right? I mean, that's your wheelhouse. That's what you do. We're having this conversation the evening after our local team put up some nice numbers against New Orleans. What was that? 140 to 125 win. So I guess let me ask you this: are you focusing more on the league as a whole, or while you were here, you were obviously focusing quite heavily on the Kings? Are you still focusing just on the Kings, or are you looking at the whole league as a whole now?
Yeah, very broadly, James. So I'll look at the whole league, teams, individual players, trends. So I'll do, it really varies, but I do some weekly interviews on SB Nation Radio, for example. Yeah. I'll pop on to KNBR in San Francisco from time to time, in different markets throughout the country. So definitely now a very broad look at the league, but I try to, especially lean, a little bit West Coast, certainly with the Lakers and the Clippers here in Los Angeles, and the Kings and the Warriors up north. So it's a lot of fun. And particularly now with these circumstances in the bubble in Orlando, it's been really fascinating to watch on so many different levels, right? Literally the different camera angles, and figuratively to watch what's occurring. So, but the Kings today, their offense was scintillating. I mean, they were absolutely terrific. Like you said, they put up 140 points. Bogdanovich came back after an anemic 1-for-15 performance in that overtime loss against Dallas and put up a career-high 35. Fox was great as well with 30 points. Harrison Barnes was steady with 22. So I was really impressed with Sacramento's effort today to come up with their first win in the bubble after a tough overtime loss to Dallas. And now this will be a test of their mettle tomorrow, playing in a back-to-back against a very plucky Brooklyn team who got blown out by the Celtics, but they had previously beaten Milwaukee, had the Brooklyn Nets. So it's like anything else, whether it's sales and tech, playing in the NBA, broadcasting, you're only as good as your last effort. And that's what I really enjoy about all those things that that we're fortunate enough to do. And I mean, look at you. I love your mantra, which is almost just about verbatim to Jonathan Simmons, the longtime NBA free agent. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Stay ready so you have to get ready. That's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So let me ask you this, because you're not in Sacramento anymore. You're physically in Los Angeles. Talk to me about that whole move, because that's a whole different culture change, right? I mean, Sacramento is fantastic. Roseville, where I'm at, is wonderful. But when you go down south to Los Angeles, a lot faster, right? It just in terms of the energy that's down there in the Los Angeles area. So, and where physically are you? Are you LA?
Well, James, I can't say that. I just had a security concern with paparazzi.
That's true.
I really can't go there. I really can't go there. But no, it's interesting because
big time movie star. Now, again, the man, and with the IMDb page. Now, I hear you. That's all right. I know that.
Right. So no, what's very interesting is that I was the Kings insider on NBC Sports Bay Area for a season. Contract wasn't renewed for a number of years.
Okay.
Did the morning sports on Kfbk. Both terrific experiences. But sports was removed from the programming schedule there. So, it was previously news, traffic, weather, business, sports.
Right.
And I think I did that sequence correct. I may not have said it correctly.
I think it was weather on the tens and sports on the half.
Right.
Something I don't remember. I'm
Right.
old Tom Sullivan days, right? I haven't watched KFBK in a long time, but
Right.
shouts out to the old KFBK when they were just AM, not FM. I'm an AM guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we'll get to music too. But no. So basically, to move to LA is like so. Opportunity with acting, the entertainment mecca, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And also, personally for me, it's funny you say about the pace and all, because it does remind me, it's very different than New York, but having grown up in the shadows, literally, of the skyline of Manhattan, right across the Hudson River, but like you said, born in Jersey City, my family's from Hoboken. I went to St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City. To me, it feels very much like home in a lot of ways. I love it. I love Sacramento too. But here before the pandemic, you'd go to a park and you'd have somebody, rehearsing their lines, right?
Yeah.
And then you walk through the park. Somebody's working on a dance routine. Somebody's sipping cappuccino, and producers probably working on some other stuff. So from sides to music, the whole bit, there is a lot of energy, and it's worked out well. But I think also that one of the salient points is that opportunities will present themselves. Again, accept them, do the best you can, stay in the moment. Always try to do the best you can at that specific project, but sometimes things don't last forever, and I think it's about again, staying ready so that you don't have to get ready, and embracing some different opportunities. So and it's been, I think, another way to kind of stretch your skills and get better and improve it. And what better place to do it than down here?
Yeah, I mean, again, when I was looking at some of the past work that you've done, like on SWAT. On the show SWAT, you were literally you were calling a pickup game. What was it on Venice Beach? A pickup basketball game. I mean, that's there's no one else that can be typecast besides you to do that. You do that in your sleep. So now let me ask you something. You don't go to a script reading wearing that Mets hat, do you? You can't do that, right? I mean, that could immediately get you pushed out the back door if you wear a Mets hat down in LA.
That's right. Don't wear this to the audition. when you get the role, maybe you can show up. But you're right. You can take a lot of
act like. Then you can walk in with a little swagger and then wear all of your jersey and your East Coast gear. But when you go into your script reading, make sure you're wearing some Lakers or some Angels or something like that. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess what's really front of mind is again from a sports perspective, and I guess because you're living it and you're talking about it every single day. How is the conversations happening right now about that whole bubble, right? I mean, all of the players and the coaches and the core staff down in Florida. How what are you hearing, at your level in terms of how folks are really dealing with that? I saw a story on ESPN.com earlier, I think it was yesterday, about all the Amazon packages come in, all the players shipping in just stuff, like video games, weights for working out, refrigerators, just stuff like that. What are you hearing from the media and the press perspective about how the folks inside that area are acclimating?
Right. And I think wine is another popular item, James, because that really is a reminder of home, right? A
Yeah,
comforting thing, and what have you, if that's your thing, right? I mean, we could
yeah,
do tea or whatever, but yeah, I think that from what I'm hearing too, it's been it's still early, uh, relatively speaking, and I think it'll be interesting to see how this thing evolves and how, as the seeding games uh, roll on here. And you look at Sacramento, like what I have that they have four. They're about midway through. They have 4 games left, and then you get into the playoffs and what have you. But I think the NBA has done a really terrific job here of proving that you can keep people safe. Because I think the
yeah,
perspective going into it, of course, was you know hoping for the best, maybe expecting not the best.
right,
And what's paramount is safety for the players, for the coaching staff, for the game operations crew, of course, the referees, safety of everyone involved. And, knock wood, we saw the announcement today that, again, there have been 0 COVID
yeah,
cases there.
yeah,
So I think what they're proving is that in a controlled environment, it can be safe. I've been impressed by the level of play. I mean, there's been some unbelievable offense. Talking about the Sacramento Kings, putting up 140 points earlier today.
yeah,
And it's interesting. It's fun. And one of the things, James, really about the NBA and acting and entertainment is that we're always learning, right? We're always learning, and I feel as though you look at this and you think that defense would be somewhat ahead of offense because you could kind of reestablish the pillars that you built your defense on back in training camp, which seems like so long ago. But again, you fall back to the default of these are the 450 best players in the world, and they will expose you offensively with their skills, right? If you're not ready, if you're not prepared. So I've been
yeah,
surprised by that. But overall, I think it's been certainly a great experiment. I just hope that everyone is maintaining themselves, not only physically and on the floor, but also from a mental, psychological aspect, that they're feeling good about things and
yeah.
staying in touch with family, all those
That's a good
things.
point.
Because these are, the NBA players are people. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like they
Yeah,
are people, have the same needs, wants, desires, challenges that we all have. And I think sometimes that gets a little bit lost. But the league has done a great job, I think, on that front as well, from the standpoint of mental health. And Kevin Love and other guys, DeMar DeRozan, have been very
yeah,
vocal about that.
yeah.
And of course, now we see the league stepping up from a social justice standpoint too. Of course.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. I have to concur with you on all of that. I mean, I think the NBA is doing things the right way, right? Just from awareness, from advocating for social justice and social messages, from the fact that they're keeping everyone safe. Again, no one can get in, no one can get out without being tested, your temperature, and things like that. So hopefully we'll see that in the other leagues as well, right? I worry about football because again, that just seems to be just almost a crapshoot, just a harder dynamic to control as opposed to the NBA. I mean, it seems to be easier to manage an indoor game like the NBA versus a football team and a football league outdoor. So we'll see how that all works out. I know it's early in the season, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I can't have an NBA analyst on camera here without asking for some predictions. Your boys down in Los Angeles seem to be trying to do something. But who are you seeing, or who do you want to see at the end of this very special season?
Well, you know what, James, I'm going to stick with this. I think it's going to be Milwaukee and the Clippers in the finals, and I think Milwaukee is
Wow.
going to get it
Okay.
done. I
Okay.
mean, listen, what you strive for, I believe, is balance in the NBA in
Yeah.
today's league, because you have to be able to score, but you also have to defend. Steve Clifford is a friend of mine, the head coach with the Orlando Magic. He says, listen, unless you could go for 25 a night, uh, you still have to guard your position. And there are only 14 guys in the league who average more than 25 a night. But when I look at Milwaukee, the gaudy scoring margin, plus 11.3. I know they haven't been too scintillating down in the bubble, but, first in pace, first in defensive rating, seventh in offensive rating. And listen, we have not had an NBA champion. We've only had two, actually, in the past 20 years outside the top 10 in defensive rating. And that being the Lakers in 01 and then the Warriors just a couple of years ago. And they were knocking on the door of the top 10 in defensive rating. So I really like Milwaukee. I think they've learned from their playoff experience last year. I mean, you can't say enough superlatives about Giannis. And the reason why I like the Clippers so much is that I really feel as though, the meek may inherit the earth, but they're not going to go deep into the playoffs. And I think they have guys that really play with an edge. Whether it's Montrezl Harrell, we haven't seen yet, Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, they just play with an edge, not to mention Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and what terrific two-way players they are. So anyway, I've been on that for a while. I think Milwaukee in 7 over the Clippers is my and I love you putting me on the spot. It's got to be done.
Oh, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm not gonna put any money on it, but I might.
I wouldn't advise that. Yeah.
I'm gonna write this down and make sure I remember this at the end of the season. Interesting question that came up here. This is from someone who's very close to me and I know as well. They're Syracuse fans. They are St. Mary's College fans. So they're D1 schools. So talk to us about what do you think about the NBA versus the NCAA in terms of some lessons learned.
Yeah, Grace, that's a terrific question. That was my mom's name, so I'm always partial to people named Grace. Thanks for joining us. So I think the NCAA will learn from the NBA. The challenge that the NCAA has is being so spread out and having the budgetary constraints to bring everyone into a central location.
Yeah.
I think what they like to do is they would like to have games that are played. When you think about it, you have your non-conference portion of the schedule. Okay, so number one, if they're able to do that, meaning that you're not going to play the teams yet in your conference, you do that a little bit later on. So I think they will limit the geography of those non-conference games. So, for example, my brother's the head coach at FDU back in New Jersey. Now, they will not go to Notre Dame, to Kentucky, to Ohio State as they have in the past. They'll play Seton Hall. They'll play Rutgers. Those teams, they usually play them. Maybe they'll go up to Syracuse and play the Orange. So they'll try to contain it on a regional basis. Now, I'm not an infectious disease doctor nor an epidemiologist, but as we get closer to the season, I think it'll crystallize whether or not we'll even have a non-conference portion of the season, right? We're seeing in football where some of them are just going to have conference schedules. So it's a kind of a moving target. Now, the one thing to Grace's question is, could you do an NCAA tournament in one location, like in Orlando? But the problem becomes how do you determine which teams to invite or to have there? Yeah. So you can't have all 325 teams, and then how do you? So anyway, I do think though, and I apologize if this is loquacious and I'm all over the place, but I do think though, if they are able to get their conference schedules completed, maybe what they do is go old school and go, listen, we're going to take the 32 or 34 teams that have won the regular season in your conference and bring them to to a central location. And I think there you could see the NCAA completely using the NBA playbook.
Got you.
And good luck, Syracuse. The great.
So the Kentuckys, the Dukes. Those folks who would have normally placed if it was a regular season. So, that makes sense. But smarter minds than me, I guess, will figure that out. But that is some relevant conversations that need to be happening right now. Let's flash back a little bit because sports again is pretty much everything that you've done. And last I recall as well, before you kind of dove wholeheartedly into the analyst world, you were working with the Positive Coaching Alliance, right? And that you were specifically focused on their chapter here in Sacramento. What was your role in that?
Yeah, so you know what, James? I was the executive director, and
That's
the mantra
right,
was better athletes, better people. And basically, you were looking at taking the lessons from athletics and helping student athletes, namely grammar school through high school, coaches and parents recognize, the bigger picture. So, Phil Jackson says, hey, there's a lot more to life than basketball, but there's a lot more to basketball than basketball. And people like Phil Jackson, Doc Rivers, Dusty Baker, Ronnie Lott, it was an amazing list of National Advisory Board members. And my job basically was to help facilitate workshops for parents, coaches, and student athletes in the various little leagues and youth sports organizations, as well as schools, facilitates those workshops and help raise the money to do them. And we had a great local board of directors made up of a cross-section of coaches like the late Jim Soker and business people who were terrific, from Hunter Green, who's an orthopedic surgeon, John Stone, John Finnegan, who's a longtime supporter. This is Andy Beal, who started Max Preps. This is always problematic. Okay. Lori Rude, you name one or a couple of board members.
You got to name them all, right?
You got to name them all.
But in high school sports, you mentioned Max Preps. Again, everyone who's an athlete or a parent of an athlete, they know. Okay, I know that's my kid's highlight reel, right?
There you go. Right. So you know what, James, that was a great experience, and that was a good opportunity to kind of support what I'm really passionate about and kind of leverage some experience in marketing and sales. And I also, we had great trainers, Ron Nochetti, Joe Thomas, Ruben Nieves. We had terrific trainers on feet on the street. I delivered some workshops as well. But yeah, it was a great experience. And then I kind of left there to go to NBC Sports Area as the Kings insider, and was working media full time at that point, because I started to do the Kfbk, which was an early morning deal. I was 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. was my Kfbk shift, if you will.
Yeah. I caught you every now and then because again, 5 a.m. is just I'm the night owl, right? I can't do the 5 a.m. thing. But I will say, if you can get in touch with Mr. Dusty Baker, good man. He's got the Baker family winery up here in Elk Grove. We would love.
Really, I didn't know that.
So there's a little plug. Call Dusty up. It's okay.
He's back.
I know he's coaching in Houston. That's okay.
Right.
The family is up here, and if we can get some of that Baker family wine, I'm not going to turn it down.
I got to deliver. See, that's
you got to bring that in, man. There it is,
that's
man.
Right.
We got to get something good out of 2020. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So,
any more movies, commercials? I told you, I'm not going to let you just slide off of having this IMDb thing going, and not. What was that movie that you played the minister in, where you did the marriage ceremony?
Spring Breakaway.
All
James
right,
was the name of that, and
I didn't watch the whole movie. I will admit that looks like something that it's just not something I would. But I'm proud of you. Talk to me about that. How'd you land that? Where were you in a coffee shop, in a Pete's somewhere, or what? In a coffee shop, and they said, This guy right here has got the face. Let's make him the minister of ceremonies in spring break.
Right. Well, no, you know what, James? It was just one of these deals where uh, my agent presented the opportunity to me, and I think she probably had a relationship with the director of this film and the casting director as well. And it's like anything else, the ability to demonstrate your work on your reel, it just kind of builds. And also, you know, acting is one of these deals where you just cannot take it personally. You can only do the best that you can do and let the chips fall where they may, because
Yeah.
it can be a very persnickety analysis, right? As far as height, weight, all of these things, and someone could look at you and say, "Hey, this guy would be great." You know, they always say, "Oh, well, I like him, but I have someone else in mind who I think could carry this and do a good job." So, and you know, Jenna Fisher, who played Pam in The Office, has a terrific book called The Actor's Life, and she says, "You know what? You know if you're good." Now I'm paraphrasing, but she says, "You know if you're good. If you're good, you know, keep going." And there's a lot of it too. Joseph Perlman's a great acting coach down here in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and he's like, you know, the camera's going to see what it's going to see. So that's kind of a visual that kind of gets you over that hump of, well, you know, being concerned about what people are going to see. And, you know, he says great actors know it's great because they can feel it. You know, was it fun? Did you have an impact? Was it effortless? Did it feel like you? And those are, you know, the four kind of criteria to judge whether or not you're doing a good job. So
I love it. I love it.
I don't know if that makes sense, but Joseph Perlman, this guy is absolutely brilliant. You know, absolutely brilliant.
Well, you know, you start dropping names, Jenna Fisher from The Office and everything. You know, everyone knows that. So we know you're definitely part of the in crowd now. The Los Angeles in crowd. Love that. Love that.
Well, you know what, James? I listen. Full disclosure, I bought the book, so
She didn't just send it to you, right? You actually had, okay. Well, it's okay. All right.
right. You know exactly.
Yeah.
So I just, you know how it goes. I don't want to be. I've been guilty of hyperbole in the past, so no one would be surprised. But I just love her mantra of you know, you being enough.
Yeah.
You know, just be yourself. And, you know, I also, you know, I think that's one of the things about the pandemic that I think people have had the opportunity maybe to take a step back and learn and listen and hopefully get better. And I picked up the 85% rule from Hugh Jackman, who was a guest on Tim Ferriss's podcast. And basically the 85% rule is that you should go at 85%, and your results will be 120%. And they picked this up from Carl Lewis, and they couldn't understand. They broke him down on tape, and they couldn't understand why he started so slow, but then accelerated, and would blow people away.
Right.
And basically, what they noticed was that at a certain part of the 100-meter dash, the other participants would be straining and straining and straining. And Lewis's stride and his mechanics, the fluidity was consistent.
Yeah.
So basically he was going at 85%, but he was getting terrific results.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I like, you know, to just the whole learning process and then having the opportunity to incorporate it and present it. But of course, and we can get into this, James, just from the standpoint that now it's a very tough time in Hollywood because very few things are shooting, but that doesn't mean you can't improve. And I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do right now is really stay ready, because when it does come back, it'll probably be a feverish pace, because I think there'll be great demand for new content as everyone has kind of gone through a lot of stuff on Netflix, Hulu, and what have you. So there'll probably be demand to get a lot of stuff out there again.
Yeah, we've binge watched everything that there is. There is nothing else left for us to watch. We're watching Yellowstone right now on Peacock,
Gotcha. Yeah.
which is not about Yellowstone. It's not about the national park. It's so if you go into it thinking it's a documentary or like a National Geographic kind of thing, it's not that. But it's a great
Really?
show. It's a good show in and of itself. But yeah, there are a couple of things that we've watched on Netflix, Peacock, Hulu, and things of that, and it's time to get outside. So hopefully,
Yeah.
following the science, hopefully things will come to a head to where we can get back out and to get back to some normalcy. That's me trying to use a big word like you. I don't even know if I may have had too many consonants in that, to be honest with you. But no, normalcy. But
That
that's
sounded
probably
good,
not,
James. That was
probably not going to happen until next year. But but
no, that was delivered flawlessly.
for 10 years I've tried to just match the source of Bill Herenda, and it doesn't work.
Well, everybody's got you're enough, James. Like Jenna Fisher says, you are enough. You're more than enough. And that's what we have to do, right? We all have to find our niche and our flow,
I
and
appreciate that.
our good energy and everything. Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate that. So what you got going on next, man? You you're in Los Angeles. You're not going to Florida, which is good because you're going to stay safe. You're going to stay at home. What's the week look like for you coming up, right? I mean, you probably got some analyst work to be going on and doing because the season's in full swing. What's next, short term, midterm, and then long term for Bill Herenda?
Yeah, sure. You know what, James? So short term is really continuing to dig in on the NBA and what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a variety of I think there's a variety of things that I'll look at. I'll watch the games, of course. I'll look at numbers and data and analytics, and for example, we talked about being in the top 10 in defensive rating, and that being so important. And there are only four teams: Milwaukee, the Lakers, Boston, and the Clippers, that are in the top 10 in both the defensive and offensive rating. So sometimes you can try to narrow down who may be your NBA champion by looking at that, right? If there are only two out of the last 20 years not in that top 10 in defensive rating. But Toronto is 11th, so it's knocking on the door. But anyway, I digress. So a lot of what I'll do now is staying focused on the NBA. And like I said, I have Sunday night. I have my weekly appearance on Dave Smith's show on SB Nation Radio, and so just kind of understanding the trends in the game and what's going on and what have you. I host a podcast. I had Gordy Chiesa on recently, who is the radio analyst on the Utah Jazz pre-half and post-time show, but he was Jerry Sloan's right-hand man, his assistant coach for many years in Utah. He's brilliant. And so I'll host that podcast from time to time. And Gordy was the last guest that I had. So I'm due to produce another podcast there. And then, the auditions are random and come in sometimes when you least expect it. And those are being done. I'll throw the backdrop up and get after it, get the size and get that. So that's always kind of like a constant. But shooting is tricky right now. There are some voiceover opportunities, so it's a little bit of a hodgepodge right now, and it's a little choppy as to what will be next. But I had a great week last week helping kids at the sports broadcasting camp that is run by Tim Capstraw, the Brooklyn Nets radio analyst, and there are a bunch of Dave Popkin, who does Seton Hall's color commentary with Gary Cohen, who works for the New York Mets on TV. I had a great time with that. So there's likely going to be more virtual public speaking classes and sports broadcasting opportunities that I'll be working on, whether that's in a group setting or in one-on-one. So that's kind of my three things. It's like the NBA, some auditions, and then thirdly, not in any particular order, perhaps helping more, I won't even say just kids, but people with communication skills from public speaking to some communication stuff as well.
Awesome. You are not settling in. You are staying busy. So that is good stuff. Make sure that I get those links of your podcast. I've already got your YouTube channel and all that because I want to make sure to put those in the show notes so folks can stay in touch with you. And I know you're on other means of social media, so we want to make sure that folks keep in touch with Mr. Bill Herenda and all of his exploits,
Sure.
and so you can name us kind of in the acceptance speech as you get that Tony or Emmy or whichever one of those awards that you're going to get in the very near future for sure. Um, Bill, thanks, man.
Absolutely, James.
Man,
No, James,
I appreciate you, brother.
oh, me too, James. I appreciate you, and it's so great to reconnect. And
Yeah.
I wish you and your audience all the best to stay safe and well. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to peel the onion here. I know there's a lot more in front of both of us,
Yeah.
without a
Oh
doubt.
yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. I purposely left out because we can go and talk for hours about old school R&B, old school soul. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Bill
Yes.
Herenda knows. He knows his. He's got his discography down. He knows Ashford and Simpson and Bill Withers and Stevie Wonder. He can recite every lyric from all of those albums. So we will definitely have that for another day where you come back and we have those conversations for sure. For
I
sure.
would love it, James. I would love it. Absolutely.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Bill, be safe, folks. Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of ITN Live. I am your host, James Hicks. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Bill Herenda. You guys be good. Peace.